Alright, hey guys, what's up? This is Croy, and today we are going to be making a 520 regular speed video against Nirvana 37. Never played this guy before, so we'll see how it is. Alright, raising from the button with a lot of hands early. Just want to get a general feel for his play. And I like to fire out C bets a decent amount, but I'm gonna check behind on this flop and see what he does on the turn. And he leads out for full pot, so we're just gonna fold. I just like to call min raises pretty wide, just in case flop trips, flop something big. Flop bottom pair, we'll see how he plays it. If he bets something like 40, if he bets full pot, now we turned a great card. We're gonna go for a check raise here on him. Hope that he has any piece of the board and was just slow playing the flop. Now he leads out for double pot bet. Here's a spot we definitely raise and definitely getting it in. So we're gonna raise just shy of a triple. And he calls very quickly, and the river's a king. And I'm gonna bet 560 here, a little bit over half pot. And I think I'd expect him to call with a 10. I mean, if he has like a possible king with a flush draw, I'd expect him to call too, but he folds. Which makes me I don't really know what he could have had that hand. He called our check raise super quickly. I don't know. Yeah, that's a pretty confusing hand to me too. But definitely a great turn card for us. Surprisingly, let out for double pot, and then he called our check raise as quick as you could call, and then he dumps the river. So it probably was a draw, maybe, but I'm surprised the draw didn't bet out on the flop. I don't know. It was a strangely played hand, but we'll take it. Him giving us the free card. If he did have a draw, giving himself a free card. Okay, this now I can probably gauge it just from these first two hands that he's a pretty bad player. He's just min raised us. We're going to call here with our king 10. And we flopped a 4 flush. And we'll see what he bets out. If he bets out something really big, I don't really like this spot. I don't like shoving here. I'm just going to call and see what the turn brings. And ace, if he shoves, we have no problem folding, even though we turned a gut shot. And if he bets big again, yeah, like he did shove. So we're just going to fold, and we can definitely wait him out. Yeah, I mean, against a decent amount of opponents, I would shove there with the king high flush draw. I think we got a lot of fold equity there. We don't even mind if he calls us with a pair of jacks, because then we're going to be in a near flipping situation. And it's always good to be the one putting the pressure on. Alright, flop top pair and an open-ended straight draw here. Not going to play this one too fast. Just going to, we'll see what he does first. Alright, he bet out 100. We're just going to call. See what the turn brings. Turn brings a brick. And we don't really want to face a big bet. We're facing a 3/4 pot bet. Not really inclined to believe him. What does concern me is that if he is bluffing here, he's probably going to put out another big bet on the river. But we'll call and we'll see what he's all about. Okay, the river brought a deuce. I have a strong feeling he's going to check behind, so we're going to make him pay to see our hand. And since we do think he's a bad player, I would expect him to call without a straight here. Yeah, can't put him on the 6-7. If he has a 6-7, power to him. And I think that raising here is for value because he might do that with an ace, based on the fact that I don't think we think he's a very good player. So I think we're shipping it in here for value, and we had the same hand. So now we can see how he played. He played that hand pretty strong. Just triple with the king high. And we flop trips on him. A lot of times I'd lead out if he doesn't lead out here. But against him, I think we're going to check. I think we're going to check behind and see what he does on the turn. Definitely have no problem if he puts out a big bet here, getting a lot of chips in, because we can't put him on the one hand that's beating us. And as predicted, he did put chips in. If he has 6-7, it's just a sick hand. And now we're not folding, no matter what, obviously. Even though the river completed a flush. If he shoves, we're not folding. Ever. And it's just one of those shitty spots we have to call, but I would expect to get shown a flush here. And wow, yeah, he had a 10 high, just the busted draw. So we ended up winning that match. Whenever we put in over half our stack and we need to call that other 615B right, only about a quarter of the time when that happens, we have to call, especially against a player who we've deemed a bad player. Just look at the key hands real quick in a 7-hand match. This 4 deuce, yeah, I call min raises pretty light, especially whenever we're pretty deep. We have 75 blinds, so I don't mind when we have one invested, putting one more in, trying to flop glory. And we flop bottom pair. It went check check on a 2-spade flop. The turn brought us our trips. And sometimes I'll lead out here, sometimes I'll check. Against this guy, who we didn't know much about, we checked and wanted to see what he did. And he bet out double pot. And we can't... if he has a 4, it's just a cooler. There's nothing we can do. So we put in our raise, never folding. Usually when people make these over bets, and what he did later was his min raise, then that's a pretty telling sign of a not very good player. And the river brought a king, and we tried to bet for value. A little over half pot, and he folded. This hand that I was speaking about, the min raised hand, calling the min raise all day. People who do this, typically not good players. Bets out a little bit over pot on the flop. We have our king of spades, not folding. Then again, against a player who we've seen play that overbet hand, we don't want to shove. Where his calling range, he'll probably call with any pair and any spade. So we don't really want to flip a coin against him. We want to exploit him as much as possible. Fold the turn. This chopped hand with the 5-6. Basically just standard hand. He bet out, played it really fast. We were just the callers. And the hand where we flop trips, and 60 chips went in pre-flop. 720 chips went in on the turn when he had 10 high, no flush draw, just an open-ended straight draw, and we had our trips. And he took some time and tried bluffing us on the river, which, I mean, I did think there was a pretty reasonable chance he had a flush, but with the price we're getting, we're never folding. So, all right, start up another match soon. All right, guys, here's our second video against a guy named Magic Hand 24. This one we're switching to a turbo, a 115 turbo, and just to show different levels of different players as levels move up and down. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that he's a bronze star, which makes me think that we're not dealing with too good of a player here, but that's not always determinant, so we'll see how these first few hands go. Folding just junky hands early. Back-to-back 8 deuce. And as I've said in prior videos, any questions you guys have or any requests for videos, just email me, CroixDawg at HeadsUp.com, and I'm going to check behind this flop. And I'll do my best to get those requests out. No use really betting for value here. Just check. And the river, I'd assume, would go check, check. Nah, he makes a pretty big bet. No need getting involved. We just fold. I usually like to be aggressive from the big blind. Usually like to set the tempo with those kind of hands, I like to set the tempo from the big blind, not with really junky hands that don't play after flop, even though when they do call us, I feel like a C-bet, being the first act and just betting, takes it down a pretty high percentage of the time. Flop to flush draw. No, we turned our flush. We'll lead out for a pot size bet. And I think check raising is the best play to get a decent size pot. I don't think he's going to call us with a 10. I think if he played a hand like this, tricky, then or a hand like an ace or a king, he'll bet out, and he might have a chance to win more chips that way. Turns out that he only had a pair of 8s, so it wouldn't have mattered. We'll fire a 2/3 pot bet on this ace high flop. It's a good board. Wouldn't expect him to have an ace in his hand often, so it's a really good board to see bet, especially against players who you don't think are capable of leveling you, which as of right now I don't think that he is. We'll defend here with the ace-3, and we flop 2 pair. Hopefully he fires out a continuation bet. No, he checks it. We'll check it this time with the intention to check raise. And he checks again. And now we'll just bet out almost full size pot bet. And I probably has a 10. I would probably guess he has Jack 10 or Queen 10. Yeah, he has Jack 10. So we actually probably made the maximum on that hand by checking to him twice and letting him hit the 10 on the river, and then making a 100 chip bet, getting called. Now it would have sucked if we would have gotten raised on that river, because hands that check down twice to us, and then would raise us on the river, would probably a lot of times be Jack 8 and 8-6, the two hands that made us straight. Just gonna fold his bottom pair here. I think that we're gonna be able to outplay this guy in a lot of spots later, so I don't really feel like we need to get involved. And that hand we just fired. Don't expect him to have a king. Just take down the pot. Yeah, still gonna fire out a bet. I don't think that he's really too tricky. He did call here though, and now we're just gonna just shut down. No need to get into bluffing. It might have given us the winner if it goes check check. But he bets out a really healthy amount. I don't think that he's doing this with spades. That's yeah. Don't really want to overanalyze it. Get involved in a really big pot like that. So we'll just fold. Err on the side of caution. Defend here with Queen 10 suited. We flopped great flop. And he checks behind again. I don't really want a jack or higher to come on the river and lose the pot, so I'm just going to protect our hand a little bit. And fold's not terrible. Alright, we're going to represent the ace again. Would expect him to call me with the queen. This might be a good hand. Not sure if we are going to against him, but this would probably be a good hand to double barrel if we can make a convincing bet on the turn, because I really don't expect him to have the ace a lot. But I mean, every time the ace is flopped, I said I haven't expected him to have it, so maybe one of these times he will. Mixing things up a little bit, min raising here with the 10-6 off. Not really a hand I don't really want to limp in, and I don't want to triple it. I do some interesting min raising things sometimes, just to get creative, mix it up a little bit. Now we just turned two pair after leading out for a min bet, which as I mentioned in a few other videos, that was like the favorite move of my roommate Predator 13. He loves just min betting people to death and just making these little probing bets, and just very irritating to play against. Defend with the Queen 10 here. Missed the flop. We're going to check to him again. See what he does. He really checked very fast on that flop. But now we're safe to value bet here. And he folds. Usually whenever they check really quickly like that on the flop, it's either just a real monster or something that we could have blown him off on a later street. The turn action is what really would have determined what we did. And we have queen high showdown value. We'll just check. That would have really determined if we didn't hit a queen, if we would have tried to make a bet to take it away from him. Again, another one of those hands I don't mind min raising. His first re-raise of the match. Obviously we just have it. Not a hand to call a re-raise with. Just I'm checking the 2 3s here because I think that the way the game flows went, that he might get frustrated easily and call. We don't really want to play 2 3s too strong out of position. We don't really want him to call and have to see bet and then wonder where we're at. Another continuation bet, and he folds, which I think we've probably c-bet with success 5 out of 6 or 5 out of 7 times. Now I'm going to limp in. As the lines increase, I'm going to limp in. I think that he's a person that we can just min bet and really just play our hands. Like, I don't think we really are going to need to get too tricky here. Check behind. I could easily see him having an 8 in his hand. And I'll check the river. And he flopped top pair, so. Just going to fold, just going to show him we're capable of folding. But not going to fold too often from the button from here on out. Alright, triple with the ace-5 suited. I don't think that he's the kind of player who would shove very light. We'll check behind our ace-high here. I don't think he's the kind of player who will shove too light, so that's why I'm tripling instead of min-raising. I'm tripling to, first of all, put some money in the pot. I think we'll take it down pre-flop a good bit. And when he calls like that, he's played his hands pretty passive, so I think that we can all. It's very advantageous for us to play hands like that in position for tripled pots. Like he will probably just let us check. Like, we'll see if we can check it down again. No real need to fire out a bet if he's just going to check down. And if he does have a pair here, then a bet's not going to accomplish anything. Yeah, just pretty much going to play our cards here. Fire a few occasional c-bets with nothing. Here I think is a good time to mix it up after he just won a pot. I think that he'll give us credit on this raise a lot. This is the first time we've raised from the big blind. And that's just a personal read on the way the flow of the game has been going, and I just think that he's going to give us that pot a good bit. I won't always just do that, just pick selective times, but I think that it helps to know the general tendencies of when that stuff will work, and just use it accordingly. But for the most part, we're going to be playing our cards against him from here on out. Wish the blinds could stay at 25-50 forever, but when they go to 50-100, we may have to mix it up. Got a pretty good hand here, the ace-10. Flop top pair. We'll fire out 200. And he just calls. Not too thrilled about the turn. But that's a very draw heavy board, so I'm gonna bet out, committing us to the pot. Hopefully he didn't turn straight with 7-6 or anything, or turn 2 pair. Okay, he folded. We don't really want to give him a free card there. It's just one of those hands. If he will stick it in with less, he'll stick it in with like a hand like Jack 9 there, I think, or at least call us. Just dumping the Queen 6. And yeah, there aren't really tons of good rivers we can see there. So I like our bet and just committing to the pot. Interesting lead out. See, this is either being, I don't see this as being a jack really ever. I see this as being a 4 or a diamond draw. Neither of which I think is folding. So no reason to try to get cute. As I said, this is just probably going to be mostly about just the cards and just extracting value. Now the blind's up 50, 100. Just going to fold 10 high. Smutty 10 high. Yeah. Sucks, even though it is better than an average hand, it's not against his range there. The King Queen I'm just going to ship. I don't really want to triple it and have him call. So I'm just going to ship head of the range. I don't really like doing that too often when I think we have a pretty strong eyes, just in case he does wake up with the hand. But I don't think it hurts to do it occasionally either. Okay, we flop 2 pair here. We're just going to play it fast. We're not going to shove. We're just going to make it 700. And he folds. Which is probably a better result than him getting in with a high club. Now that he's down to under 10 big blinds, shoving with an ace. Now he's under 9 big blinds. Just release the 8-4. A lot of times I like limping in there, not because of the strength of my hand as much as I think he'll let us limp and just check the flop, let it slide. I think he has an ace a decent amount here, but for 9 big blinds, I don't think we should fold this, so we won't. Well, caught me off guard. 8-7. Pretty good flop. Great turn, and drawing dead zone. So that was a good match for us. Review some hands really quick. Yeah, the last hand was just standard. I like this hand where we made our committing bet on the turn. We're very happy to get in on the flop if he shoves or makes a move, even though there is a diamond draw. We did have the ace of diamonds. We're very happy to get it in on that flop. We're going to be ahead there almost all the time. If he did make a check raise or check shove, in the turn, we want to make a bet that commits us and doesn't give him a cheap free card. Yes, sometimes I'll check behind. It's all just part of being able to vary your play. But in this instance, we don't really want we don't want to let him have a free card. Basically, just it is what it is. And so he made a bet and he folded, which good amount of the time I'd expect him to have an 8 or a 5. And yeah, he folded that. And yeah, the rest of it was just pretty standard stuff. We'll get in one more match in a second. Alright, and here's going to be our third and last match of the video series. Now we're going to play a $33 match against AAA Justice. Um, yeah, don't know anything. He's from the Arkham Asylum. Interesting Batman reference. So, so here's playing a $33 player. Don't know anything about him. Um, Against these flops, I like to see bet, but I don't want to really put in a lot of chips here. Like if he raises us, I'll check behind that flop a decent amount for pot control. Um, but there we just made a continuation and took it down. But in that hand, I don't. If he makes a sizable re-raise, I don't really feel like calling or shoving is really a long-term profitable play on that board texture with our hand 8-7. So a lot of times I will check behind for pot control. Just I don't really like getting in. Try to avoid marginal situations and getting in difficult spots as often as possible. But that time we just made a continuation bet and took it down. But I would have had no problem folding if he made it 300. Would have been a pretty easy fold, actually, I think. And going back to that hand, when I say a pretty easy fold, I don't mean that we aren't ahead uh, at the moment, because he might make that raise with something like Jack Nine of Spades, something, but it's a hand we don't want to get involved in because it easily just could be a four, it could be an out kicked eight, and it's just one of those spots where we're probably going to be guessing. So not really not really a fan of the spots, and you guys shouldn't be either. All right, gonna keep aggressive from the button. Here we flopped a 5 high flush draw, and he leads out for a pot bet. Not going to raise here. Just going to call. See what the turn brings. Turn brings a blank. And if he bets something convincing. Tempted to take a stab here, but we're just going to check. I think there's a good chance that that an ace might be in his hand. And part of me just wants to. No, that's. I said part of me wants to call, and I'm not wants to call, wants to raise just to see if we were right about that, and just make the hero bluff at it, but we will not. I like defending with these connected hands, so we'll call it the 6-5. Flopped a gut shot. I think now might be a good spot for a baby raise. Sorry, a baby raise, and obviously folding to a shove. But I think, well, okay. So we turn to straight now, and now here's a spot. Since we're in a lower tier sit and go, that I don't think the players will release any hand that has any connection to this board. He's never going to fold a jack to this, so we're going to make a milk bet. And he shoved on us, and we did hit a pretty lucky turn, and he had a jack, and he wasn't folding. So I guess his call was just to trap us, which it did. And if the turn was a blank, then would have had no flopped an open under here, min bet. We just would have checked. if the turn didn't drill us. But it's an easy game whenever you hit perfect cards all the time. Hopefully we can finish this guy off and make it a 3-0 for the series. Yeah, that was a pretty fortunate turn for us there. I do think that's a time to raise to make a smaller raise based on the way the flow of the match was going. Because I think that he fired a C bet, or no, he didn't. No, every time it was shoving in here with king high. Every time that we only played 3 pots where the blinds were triple pre-flop. Again, we have the king high, just showing it. We only played 3 pots where it was pre-flop. The one I raised, and we went check on the flop with the queen, and then he bet full pot on turn. Again, king high, shoving. And he calls with his 10 high, so we'll see. Flops a gut shot. And we held. So that was a decent match for us with it hitting at turn card and him putting it in with the jack 9. But back to what I was saying. There were 4 pots where it was triple, and each of the 2 times that he had the option, when it was checked to him, he bet full pot. Or no, I'm sorry, 3 times when it was checked to him, he bet full pot, and which just makes me think that he was didn't necessarily matter if he connected with it. It was just a standard continuation bet if he raised pre-flop. And that was the 3rd time we saw that. So we made a little baby raise with the gut shot, and he called pretty quickly. If the turn comes a blank, say the turn comes a queen, we're not going to try to make any sophisticated bluffs, especially with a player at the $33 level. Usually these players are not really high-level thinkers. And they will put it in with top pair, which he was totally right for calling this. If I was in his spot with a jack 9, I'd be more inclined to ship than to trap call, because there are a lot of cards that you just don't want to see. The only really safe card are like 7, 8, 9, and I guess a 10. But there's the rest of the cards that you aren't really crazy about seeing. And he just called, and then we turned gin, made a little milk bet of 290 into, I think, into 730, or I'm sorry, 740, and he shipped in, and that was that. So if you guys have any special requests, or what I was getting back to earlier. Sorry, my thoughts are a little bit jumbled today. What I was saying earlier, if you guys do have any questions that I don't answer on the website, or any questions about my videos, anything you want to ask me, I'll have all the videos on my computer, so I can just go back and look them up real quick. Just send me an email. You can find it on the coaching page. It's just my name, CroixDawg, at HUSNG.com. And until next time, take care and good luck at the tables, guys.